As the sun rose on the 5th day, the two armies again rushed at one another. Warriors who were slain the previous day were allowed to lay on a hero's bed for one night, and then cremated at dawn, leaving the field clear for the next day's action. Now, worked up with the fury of battle, the opposing troops again slaughtered one another. The killing did not end at any time throughout the day. Arjuna showed his incomparable prowess as he roamed about the field. His Gandiva bow resembled flashes of lightning as Arjuna released innumerable arrows upon all sides. Other great fighters, such as Abhimanyu, Bhima, the twins, Satyaki and Yudhishthir, also created havoc among the Kauravas. Meanwhile, on the side of the Kauravas, Bhishma and the other powerful warriors continued their destruction of the Pandava army. Shikandi faced Bhishma on a number of occasions, intent upon his destruction, but each time Bhishma would turn away from the fight. Drishtadyumna also constantly sought his opportunity to slay Drona Acharya, but the Kuru preceptor held off Drishtadyumna's attack and drove him back with his own irresistible assault. Drupada's son wondered how he would ever fulfill his destiny, but fearlessly he challenged Drona again and again. Bhima also constantly watched for any opportunity to catch the sons of Dhritarashtra. He was determined to kill them as quickly as possible, and as he roved across the battlefield, Bhima appeared like the god of death. Bhima favored fighting with his mace, although he was equally accomplished with the bow and would frequently shower volleys of arrows upon the Kurus. The 5th, 6th, and 7th days passed, with many men being slaughtered, but none of the principal warriors fell on either side. So in an attempt to limit the destruction that Arjuna was causing among his troops, Duryodhana assigned Susharma and his army, the Sangshaptakas, to engage with Arjuna. Those warriors challenged Arjuna at the start of each day, and the Pandava duly fought with the Sangshaptakas, killing them by the thousands. Despite their inferior numbers, the Pandava army slowly wore down the enemy. Duryodhana repeatedly harangued Bhishma and Drona, accusing them of partiality toward the Pandavas. Both of them tried again and again to convince Duryodhana to stop the war and make peace, but Duryodhana was resolute. The fight must continue. On the 8th day, Bhimasena encountered and killed another 17 of Duryodhana's brothers. Although a large contingent of them had surrounded Bhima, hurling their weapons at him, Bhima cut them down relentlessly with his own arrows. Standing on his chariot, it was clear that Bhima intended to kill all of Duryodhana's brothers there and then. Only when Drona came forward, showering Bhima with arrows, were they able to stop him. By shooting so many arrows that Bhima could no longer be seen, Drona allowed Dhritarashtra's sons to escape. Breaking free from Drona's attack, Bhima again roved about the battlefield like a wolf amid a flock of sheep. As Bhimasena was ravaging the Kaurava troops, and the other Pandava heroes were slaying the warriors in other parts of the battlefield, Arjuna's son Iravan came to the battlefield. Born from the Naga princess Ulupi, Iravan was a powerful celestial fighter. He headed a division of warriors who rode upon horses who were colored many different hues, and they had been raised on the high tracks of the Himalayan mountains. The horses were clad in steel armor and adorned in gold. The Naga fighters riding them charged at the Kauravas with fearful cries, appearing amid the battle like a flock of swans on the bosom of the ocean. The cavalry of the Nagas were met on Duryodhana's side by the large division of horseback warriors from the hilly region of Gandhara, led by 6 of Shakuni's younger brothers. Covered in armor and screaming out battle cries, they rushed at Iravan and his troops, penetrating their forces, their minds fixed upon victory or the attainment of heaven. Iravan laughed loudly, calling out to his followers, "Kill all these warriors by any means!" The Nagas displayed dazzling skills at both riding and fighting. Why, their horses seemed to float in the air, and their weapons fell from all sides onto their enemies. The Gandhara fighters were crushed, leaving only Shakuni's brothers to face the Nagas. They threw lances at Iravan, piercing his armor, and the lances were sticking out from his chest, back, and huge legs. Undaunted, Iravan pulled out the lances, hurling them back at his roaring foes. Iravan came down from his horse with blood streaming from his wounds. Now, taking out a fearsome saber, Iravan ran at the sons of Subala. The powerful Naga appeared like a moving mountain covered with red oxide. As Iravan whirled his saber and shield, he covered himself on all sides. Although the 6 Gandhara princes shot hundreds of arrows at him, they could find no gap in Iravan's defense. They surrounded Iravan, hurling their long lances. But beating down their spears, Iravan leaped up with his saber and cut off their arms and legs. Their mutilated limbs fell to the earth, along with their weapons, armor, and shields. Iravan then swung his saber with deadly accuracy, severing his opponent's heads. Only one prince, Vrishabha, escaped. He ran back to Duryodhana to report that the Gandhara forces had been annihilated. Duryodhana's wrath flared up. He then called for Alambusha, a massive Rakshasa of frightful appearance. Alambusha had joined with Duryodhana because he hated Bhima, who had slain his brother Baka. And as Alambusha came before him, Duryodhana said, "Behold the destruction caused by Arjuna's son Iravan. That master of illusion can only be checked by one of equal power. O hero, you are capable of going anywhere on this earth and in the sky, and you can assume forms at will. Go now, slay Iravan in battle, the son of your sworn enemy's brother." The Rakshasa assented and uttered his terrible war cry, rushing at Iravan. By his mystic power, Alambusha created a large division of demons, all mounted upon cavalry horses. The demon warriors held lances fitted with spiked ends and brandished bludgeons stained with blood. Seeing Alambusha racing towards him, Iravan rallied his horsemen. Then the Nagas and Rakshasas clashed. Soon, both divisions were slain, and Iravan and Alambusha finally faced one another alone, just as Indra had met Vritrasura in ancient times. As the Rakshasa Alambusha approached Iravan, the Naga swung his saber and cut apart Alambusha's sword. But Alambusha rose up into the sky, confounding Iravan's attack. By his own powers, Iravan followed the Rakshasa into the heavens. In their shining armor, the two fighters appeared like planets colliding. Assailing the Rakshasa with great force, Iravan cut off Alambusha's limbs, mutilating his body. But somehow, Alambusha evaded death. Instead, Alambusha immediately appeared with a new youthful body. Iravan slashed at him again and again with his saber and battle axe, but the Rakshasa Alambusha appeared in a new body each time. Alambusha roared harshly, the sound filling the sky. Suddenly, Alambusha assumed a dreadful and colossal form, trying to capture Iravan. As thousands of warriors looked on from below, Iravan created his own illusions. He appeared in an enormous form resembling Anantashesha Nag. He was surrounded by numerous other Nagas in the forms of terrible-looking serpents. They all closed in on Alambusha, baring their fangs and spitting out poison. Alambusha, after reflecting for a moment, then assumed the form of Garuda. Swooping about rapidly, Alambusha devoured his antagonists. Iravan was confounded by Alambusha's illusory powers. As the Naga again assumed his own form, Alambusha rushed at him, swinging his great sword. With a powerful stroke, Alambusha cut off Iravan's head, which was graced with earrings and a crown, and it fell down to the earth like the moon falling from the heavens. Duryodhana and his followers loudly cheered, and fought on now with renewed vigor. The Pandava forces cried out in dismay. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Arjuna was battling the Samshaptakas, unaware of his son's death. But, having witnessed Iravan's death, Gatotkacha, enraged, sent up a huge roar. The earth, along with her mountains and lakes, quaked as the terrifying cry echoed off the distant hills. The Kauravas now trembled and perspired. Their limbs froze out of fear, and they gazed about to see what was causing the horrific sound. Depressed, they fled in all directions like a herd of deer frightened by a lion. Gatotkacha raised his blazing trident and advanced towards the Kauravas. He was backed by hordes of Rakshasas who had all assumed fearful forms. And as they rushed onto the battlefield, they dispersed the enemy troops like a wind blowing away dust and debris. Duryodhana saw his forces fleeing out of fear just at the sight of the Rakshasas. Shouting out a battle cry, Duryodhana stood firm to face them. He shook his bow and took out a number of long, razor-headed shafts. Behind him stood a large division of elephant fighters. They rushed at the Rakshasas, yelling out their war cries again and again. Gatotkacha was furious. Screaming, he and his loyal followers met Duryodhana's forces. Appearing as fiends, goblins, and hideous demons, Gatotkacha's mighty Rakshasas attacked the Kauravas. With arrows, darts, sabers, lances, mallets, and battle axes, they slew the warriors. Then they lifted boulders and trees, killing their elephants. Crushing and butchering the entire division of Duryodhan, the Rakshasas behind Ghatotkacha roared in triumph. Duryodhana was now beside himself with anger. Heedless of his own life, he rushed at Ghatotkacha and his troops. The powerful Duryodhana sped countless arrows at Ghatotkacha. Duryodhana killed dozens of them, and they all fell screaming to the earth. Duryodhana exhibited astonishing prowess as he ranged about the battlefield. His shafts flew like lightning, severely afflicting the Rakshasas. Then Ghatotkacha personally attacked Duryodhana. Although Ghatotkacha rushed forward like the incarnation of death himself, Duryodhana did not waver. The Rakshasa approached Duryodhana and began rebuking him. "O you evil-minded one! Today I will liquidate the debt I owe my fathers, whom you exiled. You robbed such virtuous men and insulted their chaste wife. O you, O man of perverse intelligence, wretch of your race, for these and so many other insults, I will now punish you. Stand and fight if you have any courage." Now, biting his lips, Ghatotkacha released a shower of arrows upon Duryodhana. The Kaurava seemed like a mountain under a storm in the rainy season. But Duryodhana bore the arrows without flinching, as if he were an elephant receiving a shower of flowers. Duryodhana shot 25 arrows at Ghatotkacha in reply. His arrows fell like serpents, falling upon Gandhamadana mountain. Pierced and bleeding, Ghatotkacha now resolved to kill Duryodhana. Forgetful of his father's vow, Ghatotkacha took up a mighty lance, capable of penetrating even rock. It blazed with a brilliant effulgence as Ghatotkacha raised it to destroy Duryodhana. Seeing Duryodhana in danger, the leader of an elephant division, a king named Banga, urged his elephant forward. Banga came between Duryodhana and Ghatotkacha just as the lance was hurled. Struck by the blazing lance, the elephant was slain, and King Banga leaped down from its back. Duryodhana boiled over out of anger. His forces were being slain on all sides. Now Bhimasena's Rakshasa son was standing before him just like an immovable mountain. How could he possibly overpower Ghatotkacha? But keeping in mind his Kshatriya duty, Duryodhana stood firm. He let go a number of searing arrows which flew towards Ghatotkacha like a cluster of comets. The Rakshasa Ghatotkacha moved about swiftly and expertly evaded the arrows. He roared repeatedly, petrifying his enemies. Hearing his roars, Bhishmadev became fearful for Duryodhana's life. Quickly he went to Drona and said, "Oh, it seems from his cries that Ghatotkacha is overpowering the king. No creature can conquer Bhima's son. O preceptor, only you can help Duryodhana. Now go at once and rescue the king. May you be blessed." Immediately, Drona Acharya turned towards the sound of Gatotkacha's roaring. He was followed by Ashvathama, Kripa Acharya, Bhalika, Somadatta, Shalya, Bhurishrava, and other Kuru warriors. Reaching Duryodhana, Drona saw that he was hard-pressed. Quickly, Drona shot a volley of arrows at Gatotkacha, while the other Kurus attacked his Rakshasa army with arrows, darts, and lances. The cracking of the bowstrings striking their leather fences sounded like the crackling of burning bamboos in a forest fire. The Kurus hurled their lances at the Rakshasas, which soared through the air like thousands of venomous serpents. Now, seeing the Kuru forces arriving, Gatotkacha laughed and stood his ground, and with another terrible yell, he stretched out his huge bow, releasing a crescent-headed shaft, which destroyed Drona Acharya's bow. With other arrows, Gatotkacha pierced all the leading Kurus and broke their flag standards. So swift was his movement that the Kurus hardly had any opportunity to train their weapons upon Gatotkacha before they themselves were struck by his arrows. The power of his shafts sent them all reeling. Many of them sat down on the terraces of their chariots, stunned and wounded. As the Kurus fell back under the fierce assault, Gatotkacha focused his attention solely on Duryodhana. He rushed at him with his sword held high. Seeing this, the Kurus rallied and rained down arrows on the roaring Rakshasa. Sorely afflicted, Gatotkacha rose up into the sky like an eagle. His roars could be heard even by Yudhishthir, who then said to Bhimasena, "Oh, those are surely the roars of your son, and I suspect he is under attack from many powerful foes. O foremost of men, go at once to his assistance." Obeying his brother's instruction, Bhimasena raced off toward Gatotkacha, supported by other Pandava chariot warriors and a large contingent of soldiers. As he approached his son, he shouted out his battle cry. Hearing Bhima's cries, the Kurus turned pale with fear. As he rushed towards them, many fled, but the leading Kurus stood their ground. A violent battle then ensued between them and the combined forces of Gatotkacha and Bhimasena. Duryodhana rallied his troops, and they returned to fight, only to be slaughtered by the charging Pandava warriors. The earth became thick with the mutilated bodies of fighters from both sides. The clashing of weapons striking armor was deafening. A thick cloud of red dust filled the air, and no one could see anything clearly. In that awful and confused encounter, friend struck friend, unable to distinguish one from a foe. Gradually, the earth became covered with so much blood that the dust cloud subsided. Everything once again became visible, revealing only scenes of destruction everywhere. Bhima and Gatotkacha swept about the battlefield like whirlwinds, killing thousands of men. Duryodhana saw his forces overpowered. He ordered Bhagadatta, king of Pragjotishapura, to attack Bhima and his son. That mighty warrior rode upon a great elephant, no less powerful than Airavata, the elephant carrier of Indra. Backed by a vast division, of other elephant warriors, he advanced towards Bhimasena, shouting out his challenge. Seeing Bhagadatta approaching like a moving mountain, the Pandava fighters surrounded him and assailed his elephant with numerous shafts which thudded into its side. Wounded by hundreds of arrows, the huge beast resembled a hill decorated with seams of red chalk. The elephant screamed in fury and rushed at its foes, trampling entire chariots with their horses, charioteers, and warriors. Despite its wounds, still the elephant could not be checked. The ruler of the Dasharhas, Kshatradev, mounted upon another elephant, ran in fury towards Bhagadatta. The two elephants collided, but Bhagadatta's mount did not waver. Kshatradev's mount, however, stumbled backwards. In swift succession, Bhagadatta hurled at him 14 lances decked with gems and fitted with long barbed points. They pierced through the elephant's armor and sent the elephant reeling. Screaming in pain, Kshatradev's elephant turned and ran, crushing the army to which it belonged. Bhagadatta roared in joy and goaded on his own elephant, which began to careen and move wildly about the battlefield. That unstoppable elephant crushed divisions of soldiers as it ran here and there. The Pandavas then dispersed as they raced away in all directions, shouting out in terror. Ghatotkacha then challenged Bhagadatta with a roar of anger. Now assuming an immense form, Ghatotkacha hurled a blazing trident at the elephant. As it flew, it emitted fire. Instantly, Bhagadatta shot a crescent-headed shaft that cut the trident down before it could reach him. It fell in pieces to the earth like a couple of meteors fallen from heaven. Bhagadatta then threw a lance at the Rakshasa, which blazed as it flew. But Ghatotkacha leaped up and caught the lance. Yelling, he broke it across his thighs as all the Pandavas cheered him on. Infuriated, Bhagadatta rushed at the Pandava warriors, backed by his elephant division, and then a fierce fight ensued. Ghatotkacha kept Bhagadatta at bay, while Bhima and other warriors slaughtered the enemy troops. Meanwhile, on the far southern side of the battlefield, Arjuna fought with the Samshaptakas, headed by Susharma. These warriors were dauntless and had vowed never to retreat. They kept Arjuna fully engaged and away from Bhishmadev and the other leading Kurus. Arjuna fought fairly, for he would not use the weapons which he had received from the gods, even though the celestial missiles were capable of annihilating his human foes. But even with conventional weapons, Arjuna was still formidable. The Samshaptakas rushed at him in waves, hurling darts, lances, clubs, axes, and countless arrows, all of which Arjuna effortlessly countered with his own arrows from his Gandiva bow. Repeatedly, Arjuna struck his antagonists with clusters of shafts which tore through their armor. And with every attack, thousands of Samshaptakas fell, but they kept coming at him. And it was late in the day when a messenger reached Arjuna, informing him of Iravan's death. Immediately Arjuna cried out and sat down on his chariot. Seeing him overpowered with grief, Krishna maneuvered the chariot away from the enemy. Arjuna buried his head in his hands and wept. After a few moments, he spoke.
Alas, O Lord, I am realizing how pious is Yudhishthir in seeking to avert this war by any means. Surely that great-minded soul could clearly see how this war would mean such terrible destruction of men. Therefore, he begged only for 5 small villages. But that mean-spirited Duryodhana refused. Now, innumerable Kshatriyas are being slain just for the sake of wealth. Seeing all these heroes lying prostrate on the earth, I can only reproach myself. Fie upon the duty of a Kshatriya! Fie upon the desire for kingdom and wealth! I cannot take any pleasure in this battle.
Arjuna gazed with tearful eyes at the approaching Samshaptakas. There was no question now of abandoning the fight. It was clear the war would end only when Duryodhana's forces were all annihilated, and him along with them. Arjuna's grief then turned to anger as he thought of Duryodhana's obstinacy. Now Arjuna's own dear son had perished thanks to that evil Duryodhana. Frowning and breathing heavily, Arjuna reached for his Gandiva.
This is no time for a display of feminine sentiments. O Keshava, drive this chariot towards Duryodhana. Let us cross over this impassable ocean of soldiers. By your grace, dear Lord, I will soon end this war.
Krishna urged the horses forward, and the chariot raced across the battlefield. From a distance, Arjuna could see the banners of Duryodhana, Drona, and Bhishmadev, who were fighting together, supported by Kripa, Ashvathama, and Bhagadatta. And as they saw Arjuna approaching, they met him with volleys of arrows. But not tolerating their attack, Arjuna replied with arrows of his own. He began to range about the battlefield, firing his shafts on all sides. Each of them flew with unerring accuracy towards its target. Warriors fell from their chariots like ripe fruits falling from trees, caught in a wind gale. As the sun fell into the west, the battle raged on. Combatants fell upon each other like angry lions fighting for their prey. They dragged one another by the hair and hacked off each other's limbs and heads. Striking with weapons, fists, feet, and teeth, they fought in a frenzy, slaying both armies in droves. Beautiful bows, their staves decked with gold and jewels, all lay discarded on the battlefield. Precious ornaments and arrows soaked in oil shone from the ground. Steel swords with ivory hilts and fine shields embossed with gold engravings fell from their owners' lifeless hands. Lances, darts, battle axes, and maces, all ornately worked with gold and jewels, were scattered all about. Men lay in unnatural positions, still clutching their weapons. With wide, staring eyes, they appeared as if still living. Others lay butchered and twisted, their arms and legs akimbo, and their mouths hanging open. The smell of blood and burning flesh filled the air. Towards the end of the day, a fearful fight took place between Bhima and Duryodhana. Having just single-handedly slain an entire division of 10,000 men, Bhima heard Duryodhana challenging him.
Stand and fight with me, Bhima, if you have any courage. So far, you have killed only ordinary soldiers. Now, let us see how you fare against a truly powerful warrior.
Clasping his iron mace as if he might crush it, Bhima simply laughed at Duryodhana. Oh, the hour I have so long anxiously waited for has now arrived. Today I will kill you if you do not abandon the fight out of fear. Yes, today I will soothe the sorrows of my mother Kunti as well as my wife Draupadi. Killing you in battle, I will avenge the woes we all suffered in the forest. Inflated with pride, you have simply disregarded us. Reap now the fruit of your folly, O man of wicked mind. Why, you have even despised the sinless Krishna, although he personally came to Hastinapur just to seek peace. Filled with a sick joy, you sent Uluka to us with your depraved messages. For all of these acts, I will dispatch you and your relations to the abode of death. Bhimasena then lifted his bow and instantly fired 36 arrows, all resembling thunderbolts, aiming them at Duryodhana. They killed Duryodhana's horses, knocked his charioteer to the ground, and broke Duryodhana's bow. Bhima swiftly followed those arrows with 2 more razor-headed shafts, which cut down Duryodhana's flag standard and the white umbrella above his chariot. Duryodhana's fine flag standard, emblazoned with a golden serpent and bedecked with gems, suddenly dropped to the ground, and Bhima roared out in exultation. Duryodhana then reached for another bow, but Bhima struck him with 10 more arrows. Duryodhana reeled about on his chariot. Without his horses, he could not maneuver away from Bhima's attack. Seeing his plight, Jayadratha advanced and attacked Bhima with a shower of arrows. And at the same time, Kripa Acharya came up to Duryodhana and took him onto his own chariot. As Kripa carried away the almost unconscious Duryodhana, many other Kaurava fighters attacked Bhimasena, who was then joined by Abhimanyu. A ferocious battle ensued among all those heroes, and once again the sun set on the scenes of such widespread destruction all over the battlefield. The 2 armies withdrew for the night, praising each other for their respective feats of prowess. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklada Klada Dayane Hiranya Kashi Puravakshaha Shilatanka ka nakalaye. Dito narsingha, para to narsingho. Yato, yato, yamita to, narsingha. Bahin narsingho, udayin narsingho. Nrsingham adim sharanam prapatye. Nrsingham adim sharanam prapatye. Tavatara kamalavare nakam adbhuta sringam. Dalita hiranyakashipu tanu bringam. Keshavadrita narahari rupa jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya jagadisha hare. Keshavadrita narahari rupa jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya jagadisha hare. Jaya jagadish, jaya jagadish, jaya jagadisha hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare